Do, 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 do. Hey everybody, come on in here. I'm pretty sure you expected me to come live. Cyber Durden, you're in quick. Get your beverages. I need to hold this up in the frame because if you just see me going like this, it's a bad look. It's a Zola. I'm shaking it before I go. All right. Whoa, that didn't take long to get to 1,000 people. Beer is okay. Yes, beer is allowed. Grab your beverage. This next one will be simultaneous. Are you ready? Oh, that's good beverage. I hope yours was almost as good. All right, so today I'd like to do a dramatic reading of the president's latest tweet on North Korea. Then after my dramatic reading, I will enact a liberal hearing this tweet, and then a conservative. Both of them have heard the same tweet. The enactment will follow the dramatic reading. Okay. This from 4:49 p.m. my time, so adjust by 3 hours for the East Coast. From Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, a tweet. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the, quote, nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works, baby. Let me tell you, my button's big, it's powerful, and it works. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that was the tweet. I'm going to read it again more quickly for those who haven't seen it. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the, quote, nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is much bigger and more powerful than his, and my button works. Now, for the recreations, first of let's say a conservative hearing this tweet for the first time. Oh, that's a good one. He did it again. So that was my imitation of a conservative hearing that tweet for the first time. Now, this would be, I'm adding the goatee, this would be a liberal hearing the president's tweet about North Korea for the first time. And scene. Now let's break this down a little bit. Ugliest person on Periscope. That might be true. So Kim Jong-un said that he's got a nuclear button on his desk. Obviously not literally, but so he started the rhetoric. Now, President Trump's style is that he likes to create this impression in people's minds that he always wins, because that helps you always win. If the person that you're competing against expects that they can win, they're going to bring their best game and win. But if they think, my God, this guy just wins every time, everything he does is winning, then that's discouraging. And so it's good game strategy to make sure that even on the small stuff that you top your opposition. Now, the typical way a president would normally handle this is that he would do something professional like, North Korea should be warned that the military of the United States is second to none. Something boring like that. But that wouldn't feel like winning, would it? Would it feel like he won the war of words if all he did was say, the United States keeps all options on the table? It would feel like Little Rocket Man was slapping us around, and we were just saying, could you slap the other cheek now? Okay. We're going to remain professional. Can you slap this side now? Okay, let's go back to the other one. All right. So Little Rocket Man had the free pass to insult and say absolutely anything that he wanted to. President Trump, once again breaking the mold, decided that he doesn't need to get the last word. And so he takes him to the place where he can't compete. Now, keep in mind that there's just a whole lot in this tweet, so we'll take it piece by piece. He starts with, will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him, blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, the reason that his regime is depleted and food-starved, at least the current reason, is because of the economic sanctions, which are largely President Trump. So President Trump is calling out that he's winning already by the fact that the regime is depleted and food-starved. But I love the fact that he asked somebody in the regime to explain it to their boss, because that just, there's something more visual about that. If he simply said it, it wouldn't be as visual as asking his depleted and food-starved, so you can imagine the starving general coming in and saying, they got some big nuclear weapons there too. Shut up. Go forage. So the news today is that the army is getting 3 months off to go forage for food. That's scary. And then Trump goes on to say that he has a nuclear button too, that it's bigger and more powerful and it works. Now, keep in mind that the president loves to do the I'm large and you're small. So he calls Rubio small. He called anybody who's small, he calls small. Now, of course, you can argue about whether that's professional or appropriate or diplomatic, and I'm not going to argue with you on any of that. Of course, it's all those bad things that you think it is. But it's also really effective because he's basically making sure that Kim Jong-un knows his place. Now, if you're worried that this war of words will take it too far, I think it's really closer to the opposite, meaning that I think both Kim Jong-un and the president know that when they're talking like this, it is just talk. And lately, the North has shown a little flexibility. I told you how I was reading between the lines in their statement where they said, hey, we're going to keep our nukes as long as you're doing military exercises on our border, which to me sounds like a little flexibility, as in we only have these because of you, so if you change what you're doing, which we could, we'll change what we're doing. So it was the first time I've ever seen North Korea sound like something was a little bit negotiable. So, and then they've also made overtures to South Korea about the Olympics. So in the context of the temperatures coming down, this is definitely nothing but crap talking on a tweet. And I don't think you have to worry that it's going to start a nuclear war. Any idea why he didn't call him Little Rocket Man? Well, my guess is that he's actually showing him some respect in a weird way. I think calling him Little Rocket Man would have been maybe a little too personal, meaning that when Rocket Man was personal, the president gave it back to him. I would never say you're short and fat or whatever he called them. But when Little Rocket Man really just talked about their capability, then Trump responded talking about our capability being bigger. So it could be that the reason he didn't call him Little Rocket Man is that Little Rocket Man did not personally attack the president. Now, I would hate to read too much into that, but it could be that the leaders are trying not to make this personal, but they're trying to, establish their capabilities. He just recently called him Little Rocket Man, but not to himself. If he's talking to an American audience, it's a little bit different. Now, there's no I would not guarantee that he doesn't use Little Rocket Man again in a tweet. You are reading too much into it. Or are other people reading too little into it? Yeah, the persuasion stuff that I read into it, it's impossible to know how powerful it is. But pointing out the technique is always useful. So the technique he used was, first of all, he's sort of pacing Little Rocket Man. He's matching his language. That's always good. He's using visual language. There's a button. It's a big one. Let's have somebody come in and tell you, so you're imagining it. So that's all good. And it's funny. The United States, at least the people who are not scared to death by it, think it's hilarious. Really straining here to justify an immature leader. Let me tell you, I did a Periscope earlier today in which I said that I was describing one of the dumbest things you could say about the president. But I'm going to add another one. There is an actual belief among the people who dislike the president that he literally doesn't think before he acts. Like that there's actually no pause there. There's no time transpired. That there's some immediate signal that goes from, I don't know, some weird impulse to words that somehow still make sense. The weakest, simplest, dumbest analysis of the president is that he's acting impulsively and he doesn't think these three things through. If you believe that, and you've watched everything he's done up to this point, you really shouldn't be talking in public about politics, because your level of analysis is not penetrating. Now, it may be true that he thinks, longer about some things, and it may be true that he sometimes, gets one wrong. All right? He doesn't get it right every time, as nobody does. Michael Jordan missed half of his baskets. The best baseball player in the world, got out 6 out of 10 times. So I would never make the claim that everything the president does is pitch perfect for persuasion. And in fact, I've pointed out lots of times that he isn't. But it's always worth looking at the technique. That's always worth doing. And if you think that he is the only person in the world who runs a gigantic corporation and became president with no experience, had a top TV show and all that, if you think all of this happened and yet he doesn't actually apply any kind of cognition to his actions, I don't think you're a serious observer. That's the best thing I can say. If you really think that's the case, that there's no thinking about any of this, you are many levels away from understanding much about how the world works. All right. Kim and Prez are in dialogue. In a way, they are. So the latest attack. So you're seeing the anti-Trumpers try to figure out what their 2018 is going to look like. Is it going to be he's a racist? You haven't heard that much, have you? Have you noticed that the racist stuff you still see on Twitter and stuff like that. Every once in a while something pops up. But doesn't it seem to you that the racism claim, the temperature for that is going way down? Not enough. I mean, it's still his biggest problem, but it feels like there's some change there. So I think that they'll go after the, he's insane, or maybe we'll have a miracle from Mueller. The Mueller miracle they're they're hoping for. So, what do you think of Ben Shapiro? Why does everybody ask me what I think of Ben Shapiro? Of all the people in the world, I'm asked about him. Well, I guess there's one other person I'm asked more about, but I don't have an opinion on Ben Shapiro. Oh yeah, there was the sexual harassment thing. But I think they realize that none of these things are getting any traction. Yeah, so this is a true story. Maybe I can show you the picture here. I know it never looks good when you show a picture on a phone, but I swear to God, I was just at my local store, Safeway, and I went to buy some eye drops, and you can't see it too well. Let's see if I can clear that up. But this is the Visine shelf, and all these blank spots are where all the Visine has sold out on this shelf. And keep in mind that the shelf is well stocked, but on the day that recreational marijuana was approved in California, the Visine stock was pretty run out. All right, so I think your persuasion tactics are failing. How would you know? How would anybody know if my persuasion tactics were failing? Wouldn't you first have to know what I was trying to persuade? And how would you know that unless you were in my head? I don't publish a blueprint. I am trying to persuade this to happen by this day. How would you possibly know if my persuasion wasn't working? It means you don't understand what it is. All right. The fake news award. Oh my God. So the president is literally going to give fake news awards. I was worried that 2018 would not be as interesting as 2016 and 2017 and 2015. I thought to myself, there's no way we can keep up this level of entertainment through the presidency. I'm here to admit I was wrong. Apparently, we can keep it up. So that might be the most watched show of all time. It's possible. I saw the other day there was a record. I think MASH, the TV show, its final episode, had over 100 million people watch it at the same time, which was a record for television. And I don't think that record can be broken necessarily. But the number of people who are going to watch either the replay or the actual live event, if it's an event, it's going to be maybe more than 100 million people. I've got a feeling that the number of people who see at least a clip from the fake news awards that the president is going to pull off, it's going to be more than 100 million people. I think he might set the television record with this. That's not the objective, but maybe. It won't be the number of people who are watching it live, but if you count the replays, it might be the most watched thing of all time. Who do you think will win? I've got a feeling. Who's Brian Ross? I think he's going to be who are the candidates, do you think? I mean, obviously, the organizations are going to be the obvious ones, but I wonder if individuals will get fake news awards. You should also do worst predictions, the worst pundit award. I would love the worst pundit award. That would be epic. All right. That's all I have for today. I'm going to sign off right now. I did get my DNA results. I talked about that once. All right. I will talk to you all later. Good night.